Hi y'all, I am on the way to do something that is so bizarre, but I thought I'd tell you about it and then let you know how it turns out. This car that I'm driving right now is 12 years old. It's got 124,000 miles. So, I mean, to me, it's still got a lot of life in it. So I was not going to get a new car until this car literally was on the side of the road somewhere, and I had to call a tow truck to take it to the dump. Okay, so Saturday we were at the Woodlands Mall, and there was a car, a Maserati, on display in the mall. I thought I would pause there in case you thought I was going to get a Maserati. No. Anyway, Scott and I were looking at it in the mall. You know how they'll put cars in the middle, and it was really cool, and we were discussing the fact that how in the world, who spends $180,000 on a car that you're going to drive in a town like Houston that is fraught with traffic and accidents? I don't know. If I could afford a Maserati, I would have to move to like South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, where there's like 18 people. So anyway, we turned around to go into another store, and that same dealership had another car sitting there, totally different model, make, everything, totally different. And we were like, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's my car. I love this car. I love this car so much. And Scott was like, so we went over and we looked at it, and I just fell in love with this car. It didn't have all the features that I personally would want. And because I'm thinking I'm gonna hold out this car for a moonroof, sunroof thing, because I've always, my whole life, wanted one, and I've never gotten it. And I'm thinking, you know what, now or never. We looked at it, and it was locked up, and we left and didn't think anything of it. But Scott paid attention to the dealer. So we get in the car to leave, and he goes, look up that dealership. And I go, what dealer? I'd already forgotten about the car because we're not shopping for a car right now. He goes, we're going to go check that. We're going to go drive one of those kind of cars. We're going to go drive one. I went, okay. This is so not me, y'all. So we drove it, and I still love it, but I'm not 100% sure, right? Because they didn't have a white one. Well, the guy calls me yesterday and said, I found the perfect car for you. It is silver, and silver was the only other color I would go with. But it's fully loaded. Okay, y'all, I'm back from the dealership, or I just left the dealership. I got interrupted in that video, and I think I was telling you that they didn't have a white one and blah, 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 but they had one that was fully loaded. My main criteria that I wanted on this car, if we even decide to buy it, is a sunroof. I told you that. And I wanted power seats, and I wanted white. Well, they found me a white one at another dealership. It doesn't have leather, and I know this sounds crazy, y'all, but I just like cloth. I have leather in this car, and I don't know. I like cloth for whatever reason. Okay, so I'm super weird, I know. You know, it blows my mind that car dealerships want you to buy the car the day you walk in. And granted, this is my second trip, but I've never bought a car without at least 3 trips. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Oh, and the other funny thing I'll tell you that happened years ago when I got this car, okay? There was this car came in this green color, okay? The cool green, like lime green. It was really cute and adorable, and it had a sunroof, but it was a manual transmission. Well, back then, Scott and I had a Mazda Miata, and I drove it a lot with a manual. You know, it was a 5-speed, of course. It was a sports car, so it was manual. And I drove that car around all the time, and it never bothered me that it was a manual transmission. So I told Scott, I said, well, that won't bother me, that's manual transmission. He kept saying, are you sure? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm positive. I get the car. Well, I had only driven the Miata alone or with Scott, you know. So I wasn't dealing with kids or anything. That was just kind of our fun car. That's the car he drove to work. And it was only a 2-seater. So, well, the first time I drove it with Lexi in the back seat, she was like 6. and I'm trying to hand her a drink and I'm trying to mess with her or whatever, and oh my gosh, I couldn't do the manual without, I just couldn't do it. It was horrible because I needed hands-free a lot more than when I was in the Miata, because in there I was just mom. Anyway, Saturn had this deal that you could have a car for 7 days and you could return it if there was a problem. Well, I'm sure nobody had ever returned a car. Well, we took it back, and Scott was just furious with me because we're going to bed one night, like day 3 of the car, and I start crying. And he goes, what? I said, you're gonna kill me, you're gonna kill me. And he goes, what? And I said, I can't drive. Anyway, we took the car back, and when we drove up with it, the salesman just looked at us like, are you freaking kidding me? And you couldn't get your money back, but you could get a different car. This car was $6,000 more than the other one. It had leather, it had automatic transmission, it had running boards, it had a lot of features. And this is the car Scott wanted me to get in the first place, but it didn't have a sunroof. So point being, I have returned a car before, so I have to be sure about a car. I have to be sure. So anyway, that's my car saga. I still don't know if I'm gonna get it. I'm heading back home and I'm gonna compare the two printouts on the cars just to make sure I know what's different about them, because I have to get it from another dealership. And I'll let you know later in another vlog if we bought the car, and maybe I'll even show it to you. Bye. Okay, y'all, I just wanted to give you a car update. I just bought the car. I mean, I haven't gone to the dealership, but I negotiated the price of the car. I want y'all to know that this is the first time in my whole life I've done this. I did this whole thing. I chose the car. I test drove the car twice. I went 2 times. The second time, Scott didn't go with me. You know, the first time we kind of went, I told you the story of how we got there the first time, which was totally bizarre. And then I went back 2 days later. I test drove the car. I negotiated with them. I got them to find the one I wanted. They did, blah, blah, blah. I went home and I killed it on the internet. I found the car. They had given me a printout, but they had crossed out the VIN number. I found the car. It was in Austin. So I was able to look at detailed pictures of it. So I know exactly that I'm getting the one I want. So that was pretty cool. Although I'm not going to cut them out and drive to Austin and get the car, but I did a lot of research on my trade-in value, which the original price they gave me I thought was right. And then when I looked online, it was actually worth $500 more. So I negotiated, they gave me the full trade-in value on my car, my Saturn. There was one thing that was $399 on the car that I didn't really want to pay for because I didn't ask for it. They wouldn't take that off, but they gave me $500 more off. So I'm waiting to hear now of when they can get the car here from Austin, and we got to go pay for it and everything. So I'm really excited. I feel like I've never been excited about a new car because I feel like it's so difficult. And I said, I hate buying cars. I don't want to be involved. And then this time I took the reins and I did it, and I feel so empowered. I mean, super empowered. And they didn't treat me like I was stupid. They didn't ask to speak to Scott, none of that kind of stuff. You know, I think we're past that in America, although some would have you believe that we're going to go backwards. We're not. Okay. This is the other thing about buying a car myself when I really wasn't ready yet. Sometimes you just have to seize the moment, right? Carpe diem. And I kind of had that feeling about this car. So where was I going with that? Anyway, I was thinking about this, and yesterday morning, I was doing my little quiet time with my Jesus Calling book, and I started thinking about buying this car and everything. And the night before that, something came up about Italy. And I kind of laughed and looked at Scott and I said, that's a sign, because the car's an Italian car. And I will show it to you. But I said, there's a sign. It's a sign, you know. So yesterday morning, I was praying and I just asked the Lord, could you give me another Italian sign to let me know that I should move forward, that this is what I should do, that this is a good thing in my life? And I don't mean that I wouldn't have bought a car if I hadn't have gotten a sign, but I just asked for one. You know, I don't do that hardly ever, but I just said, Lord, I would love to just know that, that you're on board with this car too, because, it's just, anyway. So I didn't get a sign all day. And last night I lay down about 9 o'clock in bed, and Scott had just fallen asleep because he gets up so early. And I was thinking, I'm not going to get my Italian sign. So I watched a Hallmark Christmas movie for 2 hours. It's about 10:30. I was going to turn the TV off, and I thought, I'm just going to check the news one last time because you never know what Trump is up to. And so I turned it on, and I'm just kind of watching the news person talk, and then underneath on that little ticker tape thing they do underneath, that constant stream of news, something came across about Italian prime minister or something, and the word Italian was just, that was it. I got the Italian message. And I was just like, I got it. This is right. I'm going to do it, even though I was probably going to do it anyway. And I just said, thank you so much, Lord, for giving me this sign. Blah, blah, blah. And some of you think I'm crazy right now, and that's okay too. Okay, then I thought, I was thinking to myself, and I thought, there's a YouTuber I watch in the UK, and she got a new car about 6 or 8 months ago, and she did a little car tour, and I want to see what car that was because it was a European car. And I thought, I'm going to see if it has any similarities with mine. I search it out, I find it, and it is the same brand of car, the same maker of car. It's the smaller version. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Now it looked totally different because it's a UK car, and they have different trim and specs and all different. And it was not the same car anyway, but it was so cute, and she loves it. What was the third thing that happened? Oh, I told Scott about yesterday. I said, I have a bottle of Prosecco in the wine fridge. And he said, what is that? He said, no, you don't. And I said, yeah, I think we got it last time we were at the wine store. And he goes, no, we didn't get it. You put it back. And he said, and what is Prosecco anyway? I said, it's some kind of champagne-ish type thing. I said, I don't know, but I've had it before. This morning, I went into the wine fridge. I saw, oh yeah, we did get the Prosecco. I pull it out, and I'm looking at the label. I turned it around, and it said, white Italian sparkling wine. Italy, thank you very much, another sign. Because I didn't even think it was in there. I did not know Prosecco was Italian. I had no idea. So that was another sign. And the fourth thing that happened with Italy was I was watching just this morning while I was waiting on the guy to call after I read him this long negotiating email. I was waiting for him to call me back, whether I could say yes or no. And I'm watching this girl in Canada that I always watch. I love her. She's great. And she is doing this shopping video, and she's in Nordstrom. And she's trying on this, I think it was a coat. And she goes, this is fine Italian wool. Seriously, number 4, Italian wool on a YouTuber that I watch all the time, and I've never heard her mention Italy before. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So I got the car, and I will be showing you the car at the end of this video, just very briefly. And then if you would like a car tour and see what I'm going to keep in my new car, I will do that for you. I will tell you it has a lot of bells and whistles electronically and everything in the front, and you might want to see it because it's a car that I guarantee most of you have either never ridden in, or seen around. We keep looking on the road, and we haven't seen a single one. So they're kind of unique to the U.S. So, at least in Houston. Okay, it's the final ride in the good old Saturn.